Hello, and welcome to yet another monthly reading for people born in January. My name is Dr. Karen, and I do colour readings, amongst other things. Each month, I attempt a general reading based on the colours that are selected for you, and hopefully they will give you some guidance as to how to manage some of the turmoil that occurs in everyday life. If you're new here, you're in for something that you've never experienced before. On the other hand, if you've been here before, welcome back. I'm very, very pleased to see you. I'd like to hear, though, from you in the comments section as to how well, or if not well, these readings are going for you. This month, I'm going to try something a little different because colour readings are only as good as the questions that are being asked. So let's get into it for you, shall we? This month, I'll be taking a card from the Angel Therapy Oracle, which is made by Doreen Virtue, a famous name within the Oracle community. So let's just choose that one for you first off. So for all of you January babies, I need some angel therapy guidance to accompany this reading. Oops. And we'll pop that card under here to look at the end of the reading. Now, what I need for January people, I need 3 colour combinations to indicate what you brought with you from 2025, what you brought in January of this year, and what you will take with you into February. And then finally, the underlying energies. So let's begin. We have purple on green. We have grey on grey. And we have cyan on red. The underlying energy is purple on grey. Now, I'm going to focus more on the colours that are missing in this month's reading, because if you have been following me at all, you'll notice that I've spent a lot of time explaining the various colours as we go through. I can refer you back to previous readings for your month if you want to go back and have a look at them to see how relevant they are for you. But what we started off with is what we've brought into the year 2026 from 2025. And this is purple on green. Green is a need, because it's in the bottom half. It's a need to get away. There are values that are being challenged. There are opportunities that seem to be missed, but there is a desperation for some sort of new start. And in the real world, the only way that that real start can exist is if you make some major changes. And those changes often involve a great deal of disruption to your life. Together, however, they did enable you to grasp at opportunities by creating change or allowing change to create those opportunities for you, because it is a cyclic system. For 2026's January, you have grey on grey. There was a lot of uncertainty about, a lot of confusion, a lot of need to understand what's going on, to tread a middle path, but in the real world, nothing seemed to be very clear. There was a need to find the grey of your life, the way in which you can travel from one place to another, but do so by treading the middle path. not being too much into the white or being too much into the black, both of which are components of this colour. Coming into, oops, we'll try that the other way around. Coming into February, you're going to have cyan on red. Now, cyan in the real world is the ability to create peace and harmony and just simply allow things to happen. Red, on the other hand, as an underneath energy, as an internalized energy, is all about frustration. You're frustrated, but in the real world, nothing much is moving, or because nothing much is moving, it is creating frustration in the real world. These are opposites on the colour wheel. And so it's a movement from one extreme to the other, having energy, wanting to use it, not being able to because there are restrictions around you. And so together, this becomes a rather difficult path to tread because you're not sure what you can do and what you should do. Underlying all of this is purple on grey. Now, purple on grey are both seen here in the action section of these colour circles. Purple, as it was here in 2025, is all about creating dramatic change, but the grey underneath, as it is here in January, means there is confusion and uncertainty. You're not sure what it is that you were trying to alter in your life, but something certainly had to give. Now let's look at the colours that are missing, because those are the ones that are important for you to accomplish whatever it is that comes out of this frustration and the need to create peace in your life. Well, there's no black. There is no white. You do have red. There's no yellow. You have green. There's no blue, no or brown. There's no orange. You do have grey. You have purple. There's no pink, but you do have cyan. So these colours here are the ones that have been working within your life. What hasn't been working so well are these. Now, each month I ask you to choose from amongst these colours which is the most appealing and which is the least appealing. So let's have a look at what happens when you choose those. If the colour that you choose, let's say black, as the most appealing colour, then what you are doing as a default when these colours no longer work for you well is you go into hiding. You disappear, you take time out, you simply make yourself unavailable. On the other hand, if this is the colour that you least like, then black means that you are trying to avoid any form of introspection. You're not really interested in getting inside of yourself, in facing your own demons, and so you avoid that. If it's the colour you least like, it's the thing that you probably most need to do. If white is the colour that you most like, then your default setting, once these no longer serve your purpose, is to simply escape. Get away from, pretend it isn't happening, create your own alternative facts, become oblivious to reality. On the other hand, if it's the colour you least like, then here we have a need for some form of waking up to reality. Get a grip on what is really happening in your life. If it's the colour you're most avoiding, it's the colour you least like, it's the thing that you most need to do. If yellow is the colour that you choose as most liked, then the default setting after these colours fail is to put on a happy face, to pretend that everything is wonderful in your life and to move forward in the assurance that you can pretty well learn anything that you need to learn and at the same time remember the lessons that you had from the past. If it's the colour that you least like, then yellow represents fear. It represents not being able to overcome some of the anxieties that arise as a result of the things that you have learned in the past that have not served you well. And if it's the color that you least like, it's the thing that you most need to overcome. You most need to overcome anxiety and fear, and not just uncertainty, because uncertainty is embedded here in the grey, but there is an element of that within the yellow as well. Now let's assume that blue is the colour that you've chosen. If it's a colour that you've chosen as the most appealing, then what we have here is a desire for simply organising your life, nurturing whatever it is that you are doing, whoever you need to interact with, and basically making life stable for yourself. If it's the colour you least like, then you are fighting against restrictions. There are things that are forcing you into doing stuff that you don't particularly want to do. And so you are finding yourself feeling almost trapped. Blue, as a negative, always says, shut up, do as you're told, get on with the job and don't complain. And that is the restriction you need to overcome. If the colour you choose is brown, then here we have, as a most liked colour, the ability to organise yourself into some form of activity, some form of ambition, something that you want to achieve out of life. It's not just wishing and hoping and thinking and praying, it's basically getting out and learning those skills and putting them into practice. On the other hand, if it's the colour that you least like, then brown offers you an opportunity to get away from the things that you need to do. So you haven't actually created any goals. You haven't created the sorts of ambitions that are necessary for you to move forward. And those are the very things that you need to attempt. If the colour that you're dealing with is orange, as a most liked colour, it is the colour of survival. You're social, you're able to get out and enjoy life, you are able to interact with people and deal with all sorts of situations by coming out on top. If it's the colour you least like, then there is an absence of courage, of confidence, of the ability to survive the trials and tribulations that occur during your life. And that then becomes the challenge that you need to overcome. If the colour that you're dealing with is pink, pink as the most liked colour means that basically you revert, once these colours fail you, into being someone that simply acts like a baby. You need help, you are asking constantly for assistance in whatever it is that you want to do. And at the same time, you're attracting a lot of positive attention because babies of all creature types tend to do that. On the other hand, if this is the colour that you least like, then pink always tends to indicate some form of illness process taking place. You're vulnerable, you don't know how to overcome things for yourself, you need to have other people take care of you. It's not a pleasant situation to be in because often it's associated with really quite severe and chronic illnesses. If it's colour that you dislike, then you need to allow yourself to become vulnerable, to accept what assistance is offered, and to allow healing to take place, should it take place. So, of those colours, which are the ones that you would choose as the most appealing, and which is the one that is the least appealing? Let's examine quickly the Angel Oracle to see what it has to say on the subject. And I need my glasses for this one. It says ear sharpers. Notice messages that appear as sounds, music, and words from both external sources and within your mind. These messages are real answers to your prayers. It's asking you to listen for messages that will give you guidance. All right then, it's been a slightly different way of dealing with the color reading, but as I said, it's all about the questions that are asked, which brings me to an offer that I made some time ago and no one's taken me up on it, which is, if you would like a personal color reading with me, be prepared for some surprises, then please contact me through my email address that I'll leave in the description below this video. I'm not charging for it, and I will take the first 10 people that bother to apply, and they will get a free color reading. It's up to you to decide whether or not you want to comment on it. It'll certainly be private. I will record them, and I will allow you, as the only person to see them, to let me know what you think. Until we meet again next month for another set of color readings, and I might change the system again, depending on the questions I want to ask. May the colors that you choose help guide you to where you need to be, as well as where you'd like to be. Until then, bye.